Nah. Engineer abeera awo ng'alaba. Ngambye nnyige wayiri nkole escape. All right, you're welcome on Black Hot Fire Network. It's Bill Tyler. You're welcome on Black Hot Fire Network Africa. Maria from Kampala, Uganda, with my colleague, INNOSSETU. Of course, today is a Tuesday, and allow us to take you through our topic, the Africa contribution to Western development. And this is a quite a sensitive topic, but of course, like always, we're going to ride you through the late hours of the night. It is about 5:30 p.m. here in Kampala, and I know some of you are just waking up, and yeah, it's a morning over there as we are trying to, of course, dive into the night hours. You guys, it's morning, and for us in Africa, still. In East Africa, of course, we share the same time zone, and in the West Africa, we have a huge difference in our time zones. So, but well, at the end of it all, we are all here today. Thanks to those who always dive in with us. INNOSSETU is right here. Sorry. And oh, come on. Anyway, no, I go check. Tukienda pasta kulala. Tunaja kulala tu kwa
Yeah, chukuja. Naenda kuloga na kuenda kumbuia.
Actually, mpango ya kaji.
Ngolende?
Kole kaji gundi kanka. Ni wala birako. Don't do that. Such color.
You don't want me to look
No,
snap.
I know it does, but
No,
well.
I'm going to be behind the curtains.
Okomengo jisiye. All right. Of course, like our topic today, the Africa's contribution to Western development. I would say that Africa has made a significant contribution to Western development in various fields. Yes, I do. Of course, we know that Africa has contributed to the Western development. Okay, sorry. The ones that you see. I can't remember when I last did it.
No. Isaamu.
Can't remember, Baba.
Isaamu. Nze ndisiba naye terifuuka faamu. Yanjigiriza obubi. Naye omukulu wange yatabimanyi naddisiba.
No? You're good?
Naye nsiridde bottaayi.
It's short.
It's too short.
Yeah, but you're going to pull it, it will be long.
What?
It will.
What?
I should have measured your head. Wampadde tie. Anaiteeka nkusinga sipetayi abiri. Towakana. Katulinde tulabe. Anyway, Africa has made a significant contribution to the Western development in various fields. For example, advancement in medicine, agriculture, mathematics, and cultural influences. Of course, for instance, Asian African civilization played a crucial role in the development of early mathematics. And agricultural practices contributed to the diversity of crops in the Western world. Additionally, African cultural elements have, of course, influenced art, music, and literature in the Western society. Um, a lot of Africans don't really know that they were the father of science. The Africans were the fathers of science. Africans were the fathers of medicine, agriculture, tradition. But when you look at African studies, of course, you get to realize that there is a lot that is not being told. That people don't know that we invaded almost everything that we see people do, starting from music, tradition, mathematics, agriculture, cultural influences. We know that Asian African civilization played a crucial role in the development of early, of course, civilization that Africa was civilized before. And we see the first civilization starting from, of course, the Egypt, and a lot of we wano nga ndabawo gundi emu wano ndabawo Facebook, YouTube, sirabawo Twitter. No, it doesn't.
You make some editor.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't.
Huh?
Yeah, you didn't add it.
Yeah.
I know it can, but it's not like Facebook. It does. Let me see this. You know. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. Video.
Yeah, njitaddeko. I'll put it now.
Ogaziyamu wano. Fanayinyonyi. Sinyumangako bweti.
Really?
Okimanyi ngenda tandikiranga kugira
Bodi agenda kujjako.
Okimanyi ngenda tandikiranga kugira mugondi. Mutayi. Nizire n'essaawa yange.
Tubikola bajjange tuyaaje. Omwana omwana mukikozesa ki?
Nyambaamu.
Nawe olimba bw'oyo.
It is for my sister.
Olimba.
Nyambaamu ngaagala nteekemu akanda naawe ate saagala otandike
Ngaanye, leero ngaanye, omutima gugaanye.
Ngenda gitwala ngenda gizzaayo.
Nange omutima gugaanye.
Kati webanga tukana musajja aliko. It is hers, it's not mine. To be sincere.
Omutima gugaanye. Tulina kyonna nsikirabangako.
Sakugamba, but I told you that it is there. I remember telling you that. Eri yeyange. Eri endala. eyabeeranga mu bbaaga. But this is bulijjo nno nga njirimu. Ebintu byange nno mbeeranga nabyo. Yogera.
Yogera.
Eh?
Yogera.
So, African contribution to the Western development. You know, very many Africans, they really don't know that Africa is playing a great role to the development, to the well-being, to the growing of Western countries.
Mm.
And most of you can't convince an average African that Africa is doing a great job for those people. However much they paint Africans to be poor,
Mm.
mm, they are getting billions and billions of money out of Africa,
Mm.
if not every day, each year, if not monthly or weekly, but they do it.
Mm.
Mm,
Yep.
dependingly on the resources that we have in Africa, the gold we have in Africa. Even before we go even that far, we know about that these people, like to the development of their countries, these people carried out the transatlantic trade,
Mm.
slave trade, before this modern era. We see that a lot of African people were taken to those countries to work in their farmlands
Mm.
before the Industrial Revolution.
Mm.
And African people developed so much these countries. They worked tirelessly for these countries. There were
Mm.
African people.
Mm.
There was no Mzungu that used labor, what we call for labor, eh?
Mm.
Manual labor in their farmlands. Apart from the Africans, they picked it in form
Mm.
of slave trade. So that created the development that we are seeing today. Because for everything we see, for anything we see on this earth, wabawo omusingi ku kiba kyasitukira. There is a
True.
foundation for everything. Watch Chen.
Mm.
There is a foundation of everything. So the foundation for Western countries is Africa. That's why they can no longer live without Africans, because their what? Their social life, their industrial life, their
Onimba.
yani kyokka bulijjo tebeerawo.
Naye
Saakugamba nti mwere
ndakugamba mutima guganye kati
naye ate
nakyogenda
kugaanira
kunkolera
bwereere.
ati nandikuli.
It is husband. It's for Maggie. She's called Maggie. It's for Maggie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Connection is unstable. If
Let's
you're on
see what it
Wi-Fi,
is.
try plugging.
No, it's for mommy. It's not my. It's for Maggie. It's not my band. Don't do that. I
Doing
didn't
what?
like.
But of course, Africa has also contributed. When we look at development, basically,
Mm,
Africa has touched
mm,
almost every aspect in this world.
mm,
For example, like when we look at Africa's culture, Africa's culture contributing to arts, music, stuff like that. We know that African cultural elements have proudly influenced the art, music, and literature in the Western world. In
mm,
art, the use of vibrant colors, interact partners, and symbolic metaphors in Africa art has inspired Western artists, contributing to movements like Cubism and abstract art. In music, the rhythms and the beats of African music have influenced various genres,
mm,
including jazz, blues,
mm,
and rock.
mm,
African musical instruments and vocal styles have left an indelible mark on the development of the Western music in literature. Of course,
mm,
Western music, first of all,
mm,
most people when they listen to,
mm,
I told her, when, I'm sorry to say, when you watch like videos,
mm,
when the Mzungu is
mm,
dancing or listening,
mm,
these people hardly follow beat. And at times I'm like,
mm.
tebawulira bulungi biiti eba
Mm.
egendamu bulala nga nabo bagendamu bulala.
When I was still a little, I was so funny. For me, whenever I could like watch videos of African music, I ninja jam.
I'm trying to keep them okay. Mm-hmm.
So whenever I watch those songs and I saw drums, for me I had it in mind that drums, these real drums, they're for Africans.
Mm.
So whenever I could see drums in those videos, in those songs, I could see how is it possible that I'm seeing drums the other side? I thought
Mm.
drums end here. The history of drums is in Africa and it ends in Africa.
Mm.
For me, I had it in mind that those people, whatever they have, is something different from what we have.
Mm.
But when you look at all spheres of their life, if you look at their life system, the
Mm.
Bazungu life system,
Mm.
it is not so different from African. However, African way of living is different, but you see that the other life is a photocopy
Mm.
of African life. So
Mm.
whatever they are doing, they copied it from Africa. Like
Mm.
it's because we are the original, favor original over whatever they are doing. We are the
Mm.
masters of whatever they are doing.
Mm.
Which they get.
Mm. And most you will of course
Mm,
most when it comes to music,
mm,
most of the Africans don't even know that jazz has African touch.
mm,
They don't know that blues have African touch, and
mm,
even the rocker music has African touch. So apparently,
mm,
we in our culture influenced the art and the music.
mm,
But that's why I say like Africa has touched, whatever, a lot of things
mm,
in this world. Like even when it comes to literature, the
mm,
rich storytelling traditions of Africa have influenced Western authors.
mm,
Themes of oral storytelling, folk tales, and spiritual from African cultures have found their way into Western literature, shaping narratives and perspectives.
mm,
In Africa throughout history, we used to have of course, we have what we call formal and informal kind of education.
mm,
But in Africa's kind of education, we used to, of course, experience education through folk tales, folk songs,
mm,
stories,
mm,
tales of the moon. That's when African people used to gather,
mm,
living site. African people used to gather together under the moon. That will be when it's moon time. That's at night when apparently people are done with
mm,
everything, so they sit under the moon. That's they usually used to call them the stories of the moon. So you'll be seated under the moon at night. Children will be taught. Children will be given taught morals, and they will be taught, accord and how to carry themselves through the stories. They were first of all entertaining. It wasn't about punishing, flogging, stuff.
mm,
um Children were first of all introduced to education in a very loving way,
mm,
that people would sit and they start telling you stories.
mm,
At the end of the day, they tell you the meaning of that story. They'll try to, for example, to narrate. We had this story that we used to have as growing up. I don't know if you did have that story from your
It's
side, but
sorry. It's sorry.
Njabala's story.
Jabala,
Njabala,
jabala,
njabala, njabala, tolinsansa muko.
jabala,
Abakazi balima bati njabala, tolinsansa muko. Ne
jabala.
balima ne batema njabala, tolinsansa muko. Now that story of Njabala was definitely for the girls.
Mm, mm,
I don't know if you guys had the Njabala story as boys when you were
mm,
growing up, but if you look at the Njabala story, a girl child is made to understand
mm,
that at a certain time, your mom is going to be no
mm,
more.
mm,
You're going to be the mama of
mm,
wherever you are going. And I personally, like a child, I glued my mind to
mm,
that story. I grew up knowing that I don't want to be like Njabala. First
mm,
of all, in the scenes of Njabala, you see a ghost coming back.
mm,
As a child, seeing a ghost is very scary.
mm,
No matter how, no matter the person, you don't want to see a ghost coming back. A
mm,
ghost scene is a scary thing.
mm,
So you keep on imagining, if I'm not an upright woman, I would have definitely something. Two, the Jamala story teaches the young girls that if you don't follow this African code,
mm,
as growing up, that means your parents will never rest. Of course, we see Jamala's mother, even after death, her
mm,
ghost is coming back to farm.
mm,
So, as I used to say, the ghost was the one that we used to sing, Njawala, 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 Tony, Nsanza, Muko, Njawala.
mm.
Muko is the husband to your daughter.
Yeah.
Alright? Abakazi batema abati, Njawala, Tony, Nsanza, Muko. So each time we would hear that story, every evening we would sit and listen and like,
Mm,
okay, so apparently time is gonna come, my mom is gonna be dead.
mm,
It prepared your mind that death is a normal thing.
mm,
So I would know. I know you guys didn't know much about the Njabala story is for the girls. Actually, if
mm,
boys have ever heard of Njabala story,
mm,
it's just that you heard it probably at school and people. But Njabala was a story that was drafted for a girl child.
mm,
So each time you would know, I have to learn how to cook because I don't want to stress my mom when she dies. I don't want her coming back. Two, I have to know how to cultivate. I have to know how to do shit because
mm,
this is what someone is supposed to do. So Njabala's story shows the spirit of a mother who is very sad for the
mhm,
fact that her daughter cannot be a good woman. She cannot be a good mother. She cannot be a good wife to the husband. She
mm,
cannot take care of her family. So as we were kids listening to Njabala's story, sometimes you would even cry. You feel like your heart is so broken. How can Njabala do that?
mm,
How come the spirit of our mother is not resting? And at the end of the story, you are told that if you do not follow the cultural norms and stuff like that, at the end of the
mm,
day, your mother is going to be like Njabala's mom.
yeah.
The next time your mom is like, Maria, where are you at? I'm sweeping
Mm,
the compound, mom. All right, Maria, where? I'm washing the dishes.
mm,
Maria, what are you doing? Each time.
mm,
So in our society, it wasn't as beating children and stuff. This is something people have just begun to do. That
mm,
children have started to, of course, parents have started to neglect these things.
mm,
They have
mm,
started to forget
mm,
the things the way because this kind of education system was musical,
mm,
entertaining, educative. You understand?
yeah.
And first of all, it was so touching that everyone would. Each
Mm,
time people are telling stories, no child will even cough.
mm,
You just want to stay quiet and listen how it's going to end. So
mm,
that was, of course, African education system at that time.
mm,
And when they're educating you about something, it is not that they pick an individual. You know, when
mm,
someone is trying to teach you something and you see that I'm not alone in this, I'm
mm,
sitting with my colleague, I'm sitting with children of my age. Okay, you understand this is a normal thing. So each another child will be like, they are playing football. You are calling me to teach me stuff. As you're trying to teach this child, the mind is not together. The mind is not with you right there. It's thinking about the soccer. It's thinking about the children who are having soccer in the fields. It's thinking about those other children who are doing other things. And for you, you are just seated. You are supposed to listen to your mama. So whatever you will be saying, I believe a child will not, will not ponder, will not understand. So that's why Africa had those kind of storytelling, folk tales, stories of the moon. We had our own rhyme songs. So every song in Africa had a meaning. When we go to traditional folk songs, these are basically most of them were like songs that could teach, cultural activities.
and by the way, even up to now, you see that the songs, the real African songs that we have in our countries, they have a more significant role
Mm,
in our countries
mm,
compared to the alien songs, the Western songs. People like those local songs, those
much.
African songs,
Mm.
Agwamagamba z'e Masaka. But people like those
Abe
songs.
Masaka.
Yeah, people like those songs
Yandi
so
abe
much.
Masaka.
No, like
Kati
grown
nze
ups.
nyimbira mu nimba lwa Masaka sirimu.
Those local animal manyi buli luyimba luli loko. Masaka, "Mwene ngeri gye
No, it is
mutumanyi."
you who has phrased that.
No, that is how people take people from my
Yeah.
side. Like,
It is you. So I cannot definitely
mm,
hear or
mm,
listen to a song
mm.
that is playing from my side and there is solo Masaka. Unless they're singing in your
But
language.
guys, buno oluyimba ne lubeera nga lwa Lunyako, they say that that is from Masaka. That is how people praise us and take us. Yeah, it is the capital city of Uganda.
Kunyega wali eriko
But,
amazitirabe.
but, hello family, Jib Jabba.
Jijaba, thank you for coming through. How are you doing? We're happy to see you today. Mm-hmm.
So Africa's contribution to the Western development. However, at the end of colonialism in Africa, only freed the continent politically. We always
Mm,
say that every day that they just
mm,
freed. We can no longer see them in our demonstrations. However, we are seeing we're gonna see Chinese anytime they're coming,
mm,
but we are just freed away from politically. They can no longer we can no longer see like we used to have some time back in Uganda the guy called
mm,
Sako Head. He
mm,
was the governor of Uganda under the British protectorate by then.
mm,
So he was the president by
mm,
then. So we
mm,
can no longer see such people, such white people in Africa leading. However, the continuation of the exploitation structures whose foundations were laid in the pre-colonial and colonial phases has meant that African underdevelopment persists up to today.
mm,
Because whatever thing that we could have done for our countries, it was taken, starting from labor. It was
mm,
taken to those Western countries.
mm,
We go ahead to the resources that were taken, the gold, the ivory from animals, the elephants, among others.
mm,
So Africa is looked down actually on as a poor underdeveloped continent among
mm,
very many people with military dictators a corrupt political system, and corruption is everywhere.
mm.
However, in USA it is called lobbying. Is it called lobbying? There is a way they phrase other names, but corruption is everywhere. But
Mm,
Africa is phrased as a corrupt with corrupt political system,
mm,
poverty, malnutrition,
mm,
hunger, out migration. So that is how Africa is phrased outside there.
mm,
So there are political motives behind the image creation, the image that is created for Africa,
mm,
which completely camouflages with structural reasons for these problems.
mm,
African underdevelopment cannot be comprehended fully without looking at in form of historical materialism perspective.
mm,
Mhm. Okitegeera?
mm.
Whatever thing Africa is going in through right about now, whatever we're going through, we can't forget the historical colonialism, the history of colonialism
Yeah.
in whatever that you are going through. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yeah, it
interaction,
is.
the interaction of capitalism over Africa from the pre-colonial period
Mm,
to now. Kitegeera mukwano?
mm,
So African underdevelopment went hand in hand with European development. Kitegeera relation egiraawo ejjira. African underdevelopment went hand in hand with European development because of course they dug, they stole, they made crimes in Africa for their well-being, for their selfish interests in Europe.
mm,
Hmm?
mhm,
So the contemporary image creation has the dual purpose of weakening resistance against the capitalist political economy with Africa and getting legitimacy, and support from imperialistic owned population for any kind of intervention in the name of democracy, human rights, and so on.
So,
Eh? Hmm?
yeah.
So
Kanyonyole.
even
Kanyonyole.
So even though Africa had its own communal mode of production, other kinds of social apparatus for a long time,
mm,
The change in the Western political economy from feudalism to capitalism, it is a consequent material of labor needs brought major changes within the continent.
mm,
So the Atlantic slave trade from, of course, those years, sometime back, very many years back, led to the capture and shipping of around, it is actually, this is just an estimated number of around 11 million Africans that were taken,
mm, mm,
of which whom survives and was sold to Americans.
mm,
So this trade took away the major plank of African labor force of able-bodied young men and women
mm,
who could have done a lot in Africa.
mm,
Together. Because these are the people that developed America that we are seeing today.
mm,
These are people that, even after the industrial revolutions, they are the people that worked in those factories these
mm,
people created. These are the people that worked in the farmlands these people had. Together.
mm,
So enslavement would have grown and contributed positively to African economic development if enslavement wasn't there. Hmm?
mm,
Africa would have grown and it would have contributed positively to an economic development in Africa.
mm,
But all those developments, and by the way, our ancient our ancestors, they were so wise
mm,
because they used to discover everything.
mm,
Okay? But nowadays we see not Africans coming out with discoveries. Even if you come out with a new discovery, they will look for you and kill you. And that is Africa. That is how far Africa has been destroyed. That is
mm,
how far African people have been killed. And the people they took from Africa, these like I said, these were young men, and people don't like they don't. Most people think that women were not enslaved,
mm,
but young men and women were taken. The people that were taken, these are people that had something in their heads. People who are doing iron smithing.
mm,
These people who are doing people who knew more about cultivation, farming. What you get?
mm,
So slave trade was they were taking intellectuals from
mm,
Africa to go and work, to go and do what they were doing in Africa, to go and do it in their countries. So Africa was left with none. Together. So there is no way we can see development in Africa. But those countries are getting devolved. Hey, ooh, Diva, your comment.
Okay. During slavery, field hands would sing spirituals,
Mm,
master thoughts. They were happy singing, but the songs were plotting,
yeah.
escape,
Direction.
direction.
Yeah,
Thank you
true.
so much, Joe, for that great comment.
Yeah, true. I saw a certain video. Um, wait, it was a video of Kunta Kind.
Mm.
Was it?
Your son.
Hey, that was a video of my son. Like Africans, there is a way, they were mistreated, they were beaten up. People were beaten.
Mm.
People were beaten, were not given food, they were
Mm.
taken to do hard work, but there were no.
Today that light is not, you have not put it the way you're supposed
And it
to.
is not night.
No,
Yeah.
it's
We need to.
hitting so hard.
But it gets now, boy. Oh,
Okay. Oh no, 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 wait. I have a comment from you from Tibituba, and I
okay,
cannot
scrolling it,
escape
okay,
that.
I'm going to have your.
Aha. I like the former look set to, are you going to mass after what? Again, that's fine. I needed to read that.
Anyways, um, I was talking about how Africans were beaten in that video.
Never be
The-
thanking God, Gambia, that we have
Oh,
nation.
Jiba, thank you.
Mhm.
So they were beaten up.
Mm.
They were beaten up, they were not given food. They used to keep them in cages like dogs. Even dogs nowadays, they are not kept, they're not kept in cages.
Mm.
You know, pets live with human beings in the house.
Mm.
Yeah. Sisabola chikolejo. Olaba ndaba mmese ndaba ng'emazeeko emirembe. So they were kept in cage, they were kept in cages.
Mm.
So Africans were beaten up so violent, but there is a way. You know, Africans we had common language, we had common culture, so they used to communicate to
Mm.
get out of this shit of slavery from
Mm.
these people. So they could sing certain songs, and Muzungus were out. They
They will
couldn't
not
understand.
understand. Mm.
Yeah. So Jibjeba, whatever he was saying, the comment he was saying, it was true. So 60 million are traded and many bathed on breeding farms.
Mm.
Together.
Mm.
A lot. If at all the 60 million traded African people, African descent people, were here to do a development, we would.
There
Mm,
is something that history doesn't talk about.
mm.
There was huge massacres. Whenever they would take slaves, they would burn the villages
Yeah,
down.
they leave the
For them,
village
they
down.
thought they had
Mm.
it in mind that the moment, and usually they were concentrating a lot on women because for them, their mind thought that an African woman is very vulnerable.
Mm.
And so for them, in their mind, they thought an
Mm.
African woman was so vulnerable.
Mm.
They would take young, energetic men and young women and
Mm.
they leave some other.
Mm.
And whenever they would raid a village, they burn it down.
Mm.
And there is a certain time in an era where you would find elderly women who are grown up
Mm.
getting married to young boys
Mm.
because at that time most of the youth, most of the strong men were taken into slavery.
Mm.
Now these people would go and because they wanted to reproduce
Mm.
and also repopulate the African society,
Mm.
you do realize that a lot actually a black woman contributed a lot on repopulating
Mm.
the African societies because these people thought now that they have taken the strong men and burnt the villages down, women will, Africa may fade away.
Mm.
So yeah, there is that time where you would see grown up like women who are a little bit older marrying young boys for the purpose of reproduction and protecting the African legacy. And the society knew the importance of of being reborn, of having children, of having a population that is going to defend the African. And I think in one way or the other, this thing affected
Mm.
the African entire system.
Mm.
Because at that time we had women getting married to young boys,
Mm.
and we see a role of the man trying to deteriorate.
Mm.
And this has actually, since then, things have tried to change throughout.
Mm.
And as people try to, of course, go back into the whole system, we had we had men growing up being raised by boys and a lot of stuff. But at the end of all, I know Africans made it and we maneuvered through all this. And that's why at certain time when you listen to the courts, more especially when the Africans, of course, take the colonial masters to court for reparation. Some other people will say, I don't think you guys, I mean, we killed that entire, right? We killed that entire. Why? How come you people are here? Because bo balowooza balesa abakazi abakulu mu bwana. Kati abakazi ne beekolamu omulimu ng'oli bw'aba alina mutabani we ng'avubuse akkiriza mukazi mukulu munne n'afumbirwa mutabani we omuto so that they can reproduce. Ate ugambye mwana abazungu baali batulemu.
Yeah, Amazon. So, like the Nigerian teen that made the self-powered television has unlived.
Yeah. He was unlived. Bamutta. On 100% said they took the best of us. Handmade quilts were also used, maps during slavery, stitches, designs. I'll turn to the discussion.
Because It was you know, there were Africans that were reading maps for these people.
Mm.
You take this road, they were pure Africans.
Mm.
However much they were enslaved, but they were reading roads for these people. You take this
Mm.
side, take this side. So, mhm. I'll turn to the discussion. I have to step away. This is a good talk. Thanks you. Thanks so much, Jibjaba, for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ijaba,
Mm,
for coming. So
yeah.
even if you're busy, you'll
So,
always find time.
so that population growth in Africa, like I said, which without enslavement would have grown and contributed positively to African economic development. Thus, the slave trade gave the European capitalists classes and
Yes,
starting to
indeed.
push at their private ownership of the means of production along with free slave labor paved the way for capital accumulation. Just imagine when you're making someone to work for you when you're not paying that person.
Mm.
Singa mukama we yali tatusasula.
Tatusasula bulungi.
Singa yali tatuweerako ddala. Eh?
Kyomukozesa ng'example yatumye n'ogrocer.
So just imagine, so someone just imagine like someone is exploiting someone without giving someone pay. Hmm?
Mm.
So it paved the way for European capitalists to accumulate a lot of capital from Africans.
Mm.
Take it.
Mm.
However, the discovery of gold and silver in America, okay, so that meant like the population that would have been in Africa to do a lot of stuff to be taken to USA, majorly in America, to like to work for those capitalists, and they got a lot of capital in that. Just like I gave it to you, that imagine working for someone and you're not getting any pay. Someone is just getting a lot of a lot of uh, a lot of
Labor from you.
for free.
Mm.
So the discovery of gold and silver in America, the exploitation and enslavement and in the mines.
Both in America and Africa.
Yeah, the beginning of conquest and looting of East Indies and the turning of Africa into a warren of commercial hunting of black skins signalized the rose down of the era of capitalism, capitalist production. Okitegeera?
Mm. Mm.
They started hunting for blacks to work for them. They started hunting for labor.
Mm.
Why didn't these people work for themselves? Why didn't they have to look for blacks for work? Because they thought they are going to get free labor. Can Mzungu work for you? They're always looking for profits while in whatever thing they do. Like
Mm.
the other time you were telling me about the other Mzungu that is in Uganda speaking a local language very well.
Mm.
You told me that guy, because he was giving confessions or wrong confessions,
Mm.
eh? that Mzungu that Mzungu was giving wrong confessions. So you were like, she was sent, she can't be here and praising Ugandans this and this way without an aim. They're always looking for profits in whatever they do. They always have a goal in whatever they do.
Mm.
Again. Mhm. So, uh, when gold was discovered in Brazil, the supply of gold from Africa, especially Ghana, was discouraged to promote slave trade. Wachichenga?
Mm.
So, further, the slave trade meant the agricultural activities were deprived of human labor, which resulted in famine and starvation in African places in Africa.
Mm.
Okitegeera? People
Mm.
suffered during that time because, of course, the energetic African people were taken, young boys and women. were taken, so Africa starved, and a crisis of famine occurred and starvation in Africa. These people, for the wrongs, for the crimes they did during colonial period, they think Africa is still having like they know they took the population. That's why they will tell you that Africa is going through.
Mm, okay, okay.
So that's why these people are in the first hand will tell you that Africa is of course having corruption,
Mm,
highest level of corruption in the whole world.
mm,
These people will tell you that Africa is going through malnutrition.
mm,
That's how there is a way they describe Africa.
mm, mm,
They will say that of course Africa it is having military dictators. That is how they have designed Africa.
mm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Even when the country is not having a dictator, they will tell you that country is having a dictator.
Mm,
That is how they will polish African leaders. Over the leader is not a dictator, or is a dictator. That is, they will tell you that Africa is corrupt, has having a corrupt political system. They will tell you Africa is experiencing, is going through poverty. Africa is going through malnutrition, hunger, and out migration. Just because they are the same people that created this.
mm,
Together, they know that is going because of the people, because of the young men they took from Africa that were doing cultivation, that are doing farm stuff. They
mm,
were taken from Africa.
mm,
So during that time, and even up to now, very many African places
mm.
starved and got famine just because the population was taken. Jib Jabba was talking about the 60 million people that were traded during that time. That is a big number during that time. It was a big number.
Mm.
Okitegeera? So um, slave um, the slave trade helped in the inventions and innovations that it strengthened the capitalism
Mm,
during that time. Okitegeera?
mm,
All the inventions, because these were people from different areas. Nagandi slave trade was for um, for intellectuals. They were taking people that had something to do.
yeah.
Okitegeera? So a lot of innovations and inventions were made by these capitalists during that time. So that goes back to the topic that we are having today, how Africa contributed to Western development. Okitegeera?
Mm.
Nyongera nsome, bona osome.
Ndasoma
Wa
wano ku ssimu.
soma.
Mm.
Soma, ojja kudda wano, nja kudda wano.
Ojja kuddanga awo nga nze mbeera wano.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do agree with you when it comes to Africa's contribution, and usually when you follow on social media, I'm going to talk about the mathematics and the science system, but probably a lot of people don't know Africans invaded, mathematics, and you cannot talk about sciences without talking about Africa. But
Yeah, the
before
doc-
I dive into medicine, let's first look at mathematics. First of all, Africa has made a significant contribution to mathematics and its influence on the Western world. And of course, we know that ancient African civilizations, such as the Egyptians and the civilization of the Mali and Ghana, they developed advanced mathematics system. Egyptian mathematics, the ancient Egyptian made notable contributions to geometry and arithmetic. Their practical knowledge of mathematics, especially in areas like surveying, construction, influenced the development of mathematical concepts in the Western world. Now, if we are studying mathematics, that's when we are in school, they don't tell Africans that this was you. Your ancestors did this and they're the ones who discovered this. Ojakuria, when they're giving you pie. So that the pie, there is a muzungu, it's a pie or bullshit, and I'm a gulaga chama, and a pie and gun. Anyway, they will give you all the stories about how great the Western people introduced mathematics. As you're coming to study mathematics in schools in
Mm,
Africa, of course, they have to give you a brief history, but they have
mm,
never told us the truth that mathematics began here. They never told us that we invaded geometry and arithmetic, that we invaded the knowledge of surveying and construction. And then we also had the trans-Sahara trade routes. The mathematical advancement in medieval African civilization facilitated, of course, by the trade routes. You know, we were talking about the routes, like how people used to, of course, at that time we did not have cars, we did not have roads, but people would calculate. They know that if I stand right about here, I know I will move and I will reach a certain area. And of course, we know that those trans-Sahara trade routes were routes that were created to ease trade. Unfortunately, even we had the trans-Sahara slave loans, route that they also used to do slavery along that. But basically, this was route that was used by traders. The mathematical advancement in the medieval African civilization facilitated by the trade routes like trans-Sahara trade contributed to an exchange of mathematical ideas between Africa and the Islamic world. Now, the Islamic world, those were the traders that used to come from the Middle East. Now, of course, in the turn, it influenced the development of mathematics in Europe. Then, when we look at algebra, now we are looking at the sets the sets that describe mathematics
mm,
as some algebra and algorithm. Now, the word algebra itself is derived from the Arabic term mean aljabar. Al-Jabbar, of course, has a roots in Africa and Middle Eastern mathematical traditions. Algebraic concepts and algorithm from these regions played a role in shaping Western mathematics thought, during the Middle Ages. Now, these people imitated, they copied a lot of things from Africa because when they came down here, there was, of course, little knowledge. They had little knowledge about a lot of things. And mathematics is something, of course, they did or get from Africa. We haven't even spoken about the medicine part. We haven't even spoken about the agricultural part. We of course the music culture and stuff like that. If you look at what they do, like I said, there is no one who can deny that Africa has ever touched them. Whether Africa has almost. There's no one who can deny that Africa has ever touched them. Okay, because apparently everything that people use in everyday life, everything that people say they invaded, there is still a genesis of Africa's knowledge, Africa's wisdom seated on those kind of things. Unfortunately, we the Africans in Africa, we don't know that we had great people who did that. And when we look at such kind of things, and I believe, I grew up hating mathematics, not because I hated mathematics. I hated the teachers who teach mathematics. First of all, the teachers who teach mathematics, they don't talk a lot. And I think if they were people who could say something, they would have told people the true history of mathematics. Because I know for you to be a
many of it don't know.
mathematician, you would have, maybe they don't know. Because I can't fail to love something that you've told me that your ancestor did this. I cannot fail to love that. I cannot fail to love something that but you tell me we had this pie, we have so and so who invented in physics, somebody who invented speed, we had somebody who invented acceleration, we had somebody who invented time. Oh, you're talking about people who are so far from me. So I'm like, what the I'm not a Mzungu. What do you want me to do about it? But if children were told the truth, people would love to challenge. People would love to do it because they know if my forefathers did this, then I know I can do it better. And this is something that a lot of African society are actually missing out. So, anyway, then I'm master.
So, African contribution to the Western development is a huge, it is a huge discussion, I think,
Mm,
because Africa is playing a great role.
mm,
Okuviira ddala from colonial period. So, in Britain by the 18th century, owing to soil exhaustion, competition from the French Western Indies, and disruption of the trade in staples, mm,
mm,
and the independence of British North American colonies, America. So, nale bwaba bagereza bali befuula ekitalo. So baali baasalako n'America.
mm,
Nayo yali koloni ya America.
mm,
So the slave trade, because I remember I even studied about the American War of Independence. It was 1976. It
mm,
started, yeah, yeah. It was 1976, and they got it in
mm,
1776. They got it in 1786. So the slave system was weakened. The British manufacturing sector had grown to an extent where it required more markets. Was not depending on. Okay, so
mm. Nigerian geography was
mm, mm,
unknown.
so
You were talking about agriculture.
yeah,
Um, agriculture has made,
you
Africa's
know,
agriculture has contributed to the Western world through the exchange. Maria
mosquito,
and Setu. Hi G, how are you? We hope you're doing
mosquito.
good. So, like I was saying, you spoke about agriculture.
Mm,
Africa has contributed, you know, to the agriculture in the Western world,
mm,
through the exchange of crops, farming techniques, and other agricultural
mm,
practices.
mm,
Crop diversity, like many staple crops that are vital to Western agriculture have African
mm,
origins. For example, sorghum, millet, yams, and certain varieties of rice. All right. The
mm,
introduction of these crops to the Western world has enhanced agricultural
mm,
diversity and food security. Forget this laboratory made stuff.
mm,
But Africa has contributed a lot because sorghum, millet, yams, these are staple foods. These are foods that have originated from Africa and they have spread all over the world. We have domestication of plants.
mm,
African societies played a significant role in the early domestication of
mm,
plants. The cultivation of crops like cowpeas, watermelons, and okra originated in Africa and later spread to the America through the Atlantic slave trade, including agriculture in the Western Hemisphere. Africans had a tendency that whenever they would be moving, they would move with their seeds
mm,
because they knew at the certain they knew through these things they will be able to get strength that if we settle somewhere we shall be able to plant. And that's how women had the bantu nuts. They put seeds in the bantu nuts. You wouldn't know they are carrying seeds because they know at a certain time they ought to settle. And this is how we saw African slaves taking seeds in the America, carrying the cowpeas, watermelons, the okra, and other things in America, and of course planting them. And that's how we get to see a lot of African original, plants in. Outside Africa, that's in America and the Western Hemisphere. And then we had Africa introducing farming techniques, traditional African farming techniques such as agroforestry and terrace farming have
mm,
contributed to sustainable and resilient agricultural practices.
mm.
We know that some of these methods have been adapted and adapted in the Western agriculture,
Come on.
particularly in addressing environmental challenges. So you come and you start telling me what to do. You are looking like an English gentleman. Graham said was just have to join his mother for church. So you are looking like an English gentleman today. Have you got a heart Date
Malake.
to date brother, who is the lucky Ugandan woman. Oh, Kansiri Kel. Ah!
Ah, this is like
Ooh.
a damn when you look at
No, mwenye alivyo kutajana times, yes. Yes, exactly. So, you come to Africa, you start
that.
telling, you are teaching Africans how to preserve. I see people trying to say evergreen NGOs, trying to preserve nature, the bush. We started this thing. Nature is Africa. So you cannot come from wherever you're coming to Africa to teach us what to do and how to preserve the nature that even you don't have, the nature that even you don't know. We started this shit. So we started agroforestry, we started the terrace farming, all the things. People are adapting the things. You know, when you go to the western part, yeah, you say there's a cabal, there is terracing. Take it
Yeah,
out
they do it
because of the
along the
environment
mountain.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to Kasese, there is too much of terracing. Go to Chisoro, terracing
Chickens.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and these people have never been to school, they have even not seen a television, but they know. So you just don't come around because somebody has gone to
By
nowhere
the way, it is
or
a
John to
must for
Woody
them. You see
chocolate.
beautiful gardens, well
Hey, well
arranged
arranged. And
along
for
the
you, you are coming
mountains.
with your books. You want to teach us what we know, what we taught you, because you want to claim it. And that kind of bullshit going on about water. So we also know that we had knowledge exchange through historical trade routes and interaction, knowledge about various agricultural practices, including calm down, safety. You don't have put your best suit on to beg on the streets of Kampala. I'm sending you the grocery, man. And I get kids. We also know, like I was telling you, African cultural elements have contributed to, various.
When I kid. Hey, yeah, we are waiting for our grocery. Um, where that be? No. So when we talk about Africa's contribution to the Western world, I took you through slave trade and how slave trade impacted these people positively to the development of their countries. How the population, how the labor that could have worked for in Africa, how it was taken to of course Europe, it was taken to America, it was taken to Britain,
mm,
how it developed those people, how
mm,
African people did their work on their farms
mm,
together.
mm,
So time came, the time came, that was the introduction of the Industrial Revolution. When the Industrial Revolution came, now the
mm,
slaves, the slave trade was not popular. It became unpopular. Mm.
mm.
When slave trade became unpopular, they even banned slaves. Like
Mm.
they get you are carrying out slave trade, they you could
Njagala kunywa ku kikajjo.
you could face it rough.
Mm,
So after the industrial revolution, we see the economic boom and of course booming and
mm,
crash of these countries. The European countries looked for new places of raw materials and markets to regain their profits. They had lost during, they were getting a lot of profits because of course the slaves weren't paid anything. Now the industrial revolutions comes in. Now they look for a new way of getting profits, for of getting raw materials to gain their profits. the
mm,
profits the profits lost when they banned slave trade, which they
mm,
get.
mm,
So this led to European countries to embark on colonialism to control African states politically and exploit them economically for continued growth
mm,
of European capitalism.
mm,
This exists up to today. That's why we see European people in African politics, African economies. We see them everywhere, because it was a new way of looking for profits in Africa. Remember, they were getting a lot of profits from slaves. Someone working for you and you're paying that person.
mm,
So colonialism encompasses various forms of violence. We know forced imposition,
mm,
war, political economy, over primitive forms of political economy,
mm,
and we are right about now in this modern era. It's not called colonialism, rather neocolonialism, imperialism. A lot of names that are there for that. But these people are exploiting Africa, and this has helped them to grow, to develop. However much they say Africans they are corrupt, they have corrupt political system.
mm,
They are the same people that are teaching Africans to do that,
mm,
because they are the same people that are primarily in African politics.
mm,
However much they say Africans are poor, African people are poor, they're getting a lot of profits from African minerals, raw materials for their industries.
mm,
They're into much into African economies,
mm,
which together
mm.
for their benefit. That's why they are growing. Which together,
Mm.
that's why they are developing.
Tusobodde tulaba nti babalina kye bagamba.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, exactly. That's true. What I said.
Alimba yatugambye alina zisindika ekiro teyazisindise.
Yes, Indica. So, neocolonialism is what it's called now. Yeah, neocolonialism for whatever thing we have in Africa. During slave trade, African communities, I told you, I had people that used to manufacture spears. These things weren't imported from out.
Yeah, we used to manufacture
Eh,
them.
But I tell you today, in Africa, we even import spears.
The spears that we
Eh,
used to
yeah,
manufacture.
for whatever thing, let it be horse, let it be what, it is
Horse run
exported.
in the
Yeah, they imported it to Africa.
get together the ones you started.
Yeah, so these people are everywhere in African lives so that to get and to gain profits. Okitegeera?
Mm.
Onoonya ate
Well,
n'okulowooza.
while you've spoken about that, let me, of course, look a little bit at African medicine. You know that African medicine has made a contribution to the Western world, particularly through the exchange of knowledge and medical practices. For example, the herbal medicines and plant knowledge. Traditional African medicines often relies on the use of medicinal plants and herbs. Some of these plants have been incorporated into Western herbal medicines and pharmaceuticals. The exchange of knowledge about properties of various plants has contributed to the development of pharmacology. And we know that um, for throughout time, first we have not so very much, to the Western pharmaceutical kind of medicine. That's why Africans are able to have moments, except that the African medicinal way has been suppressed because it kills the market of the pharmaceuticals. That's why when we see a lot of African herbalists, those are herbal, let me simplify and call them herbal doctors who basically heal by use of herbs. When they get identified or noticed by the world, they are unlived, or they are killed, because first of all, the herbal medicines that have no side effect. You don't take any herbal medicine and hope to have another infection from this. Actually, you might have cough and take a herbal medicine for cough, and you think it is only going to heal cough. It heals like 10 diseases that you didn't know you had. Now, this is the opposite of pharmaceutical medicines. Once you say, ah, well, I'm having probably cough, they will treat that, not even treating that cough, they will suppress the cough. And then tomorrow you discover that you have 10 other diseases. So that is the difference between Africans.
And like Africans, we are so ignorant too. When if at all you take medicine, this exotic medicine, medicine from out, which is not local herbs, local medicine. When you take that medicine, when you are to, for example, you are to how can I call it, to remove toxins from your body, to detoxify about that medicine that you took, you'll go in for herbs.
For herbs, you
You
have
saw
to flash
people,
it.
yeah, you saw people during COVID time. People were home. During a few time, people could go in forests to go and get
And
herbs.
get herbs. And
People
even
take
there are
it.
some governments where I stop taking any herbs. We started having those adverts run on TV. Don't take any herbs because of COVID. Don't take bullshit. They still wanted to create market for that kind of nonsense, because at that time now Africans, by the way, during the COVID-19 situation, Africans decided to go back herbal because they were scared. They started believing, they said, we have things that can never fail us. So yeah.
So a lot of herbs during that time they came out and they're working for people. They're working for people by then, if at all they think were there. No, but people were doing that every day, were going back to the herbs. But I know local herbs, they will tell you, if at all you get a local herb, it can even heal like 4 to 6 illnesses. A local herb. When people, people are funny.
Yeah, but like I
The
said, you might
mindset,
have cough,
yeah,
you take it,
yeah,
and it
fever,
heals
yeah,
more than cough.
yeah.
But for their pharmaceutical medicine,
It is.
it just suppresses, it doesn't even heal you. It calms whatever down, and it comes with like 10 other ailments accompanied, because for them it's all about making money. It kills the fake synthetic medicine of the West, which doesn't cure shit because it's only made for profit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've seen of people who have been on medications for some time, but when they want to detoxify, they want to remove those toxins of course this medicine, they go back herbal.
Mm.
They go back herbal. I've never heard of a herbal of a herb, a local herb that has made someone's liver to develop toxins. But this exotic medicine does. When you take it for some time, they say you get side effects of the
Herbs don't have
kidney,
doses,
of
they
the
don't have side
kidney.
effects.
Yeah, you get of the kidney. Your liver is done just because of this fucking
It's going up.
herb stuff.
Mm.
Mhm.
Pharmaceuticals correct malaria. The side effects are more dangerous
Than
than
the
the illness.
illness. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Scrolling. Yes, Jibjaba, I agree with you
Mm.
100%.
Do you know that there are people, I'm
I'm
sorry to say this,
scrolling.
but I'll say this. Do you know that there are people even up to now who have lame arms from the COVID jabs?
Yeah.
Even up to now, some
There
people,
are hands that the
yeah,
hands that receive the shots can't
yeah,
touch
some people,
a
yeah, some people, someone can't hold something like this. Yeah.
waliwo omukazi atutuliza greens.
Eh,
There is a I don't know if they will nanny this channel, whatever. There is a woman where we usually buy groceries.
mm,
So she one time she came and was like, "Yeah, I have gone for a COVID shot and stuff like that." She has a Gishuma. So from that day, the next time the husband went, when the husband came back, his arm could not move.
mm.
So they thought maybe the arm relaxed. So and now the woman cannot perform in matters of the bedroom. That's how Africans call it.
Mm.
The man cannot fuck. His
Ugenda
penis
kuteka
is sick.
so exactly, exactly, Maria. They don't want you to use your hubs. That work but pay for their shit because it makes them rich. Yeah,
Medicine.
yeah, that, yeah. You know these people. They're always looking for profits. No.
Tunakozesa ka GP kanaako nga gw'oli walindi wano
Mm.
kiweti.
So that they're always looking for profits in whatever thing they do. I was asking you the other time. That's why I still ask you right about now. You know paracetamol.
Mm.
You may find out like a certain type of a paracetamol is more expensive than the other. They are treating the same thing.
The trade.
Eh?
I told it's that trademark. You cannot expect the paracetamol from the
US.
US to cost the same price in the one you're buying from Kenya. The trademark, the company, yeah, that's the only share. But at the end, so you thought the one which is expensive has no side effect. Is that what you had in mind? What did you have in mind when you see one paracetamol cheap and the other expensive?
For me, I see that it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but some others
One
bajja
like the
kugamba
same
emwekola.
the same medicine,
Nebiba
treating the
bikola
same thing,
byanjawulo.
but they are sold differently. The price is different.
No, some others are fake. In medicine, even we have fake medicines that you will buy ola werasha kawaneno fajana. But emu n'ogigula n'ekola endala n'ogigula n'etakola. But when they are all the same medicine, others I think are fake, whereas others maybe they have little medicinal content in them. The rest is something else. I guess, yeah, stuff like that. So we also look at surgery techniques and medical instruments. Now, historical evidence suggests that African civilizations such as ancient Egypt and advanced knowledge of surgery and medical instruments, of course, came from Africa. Surgical techniques and instruments used in African medicine have influenced the development of surgical practices in the Western world.
Yeah.
Nze nzijukira like in our area, they used to say they used to operate cesareans abakazi nga babalongoosa even before Mzungu came. And there is one white man who wrote a book about cell potent before a
Generic.
in US there are 7-year patent before a generic is made. Nkogambye
Kitegedde bwe
leka
kitegedde kyekyo.
ekyo
Tosekadde gamba kyoseke. Wadduka mumwaki. Wadduka mumwaki.
Okay. So like village. Said stop doing that. Stop.
In our village.
Village, But they used to do like Caesar.
Cesare operations. Wajjako omukwano sigwatayambadde empale. Wajjako serious.
You speak in English. That doesn't matter what you're saying. Stop doing this. I feel like I'm crazy because they don't hear why I'm laughing. Stop doing that. So, uh, they used to say during a C-section. Actually, there is a book, Njaka no Nyaka Kataro, that was written by one of an explorer who came to Uganda, and he had never seen people cutting a woman open to remove a baby. And so he saw this and he wrote about it. So, but putting that guy's story aside, my mom used to tell me that the reason that they used to, of course, refine oil. Sorry, liquor or mwenge, alcohol. Um, the first oil bagita kongo. How do they call that?
Congo.
Kongo.
Yeah, mandula.
So mandule.
Yeah.
Mandule and kongo are two different things.
Congo comes from mandula. Mandula is the first. It is the
Yeah,
oil.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
the
yeah,
oil, the
yeah,
most
yeah, yeah, yeah.
concentrated one. Yeah.
You're too funny. You have a good chemistry. Kongo. Yeah, my mom said the mandule, but Mwana, how did you know mandule?
I grew up from a village.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's not sorry. You know stuff, which is good. So yeah, my mom spoke that mandule. She said when people are refining alcohol, there is that fast alcohol that is made, and it is always too strong. Or jinywa, you can even you can't take even a drop. You get paralyzed.
Ettonde limu bw'oti n'olikomba kuyinza okukolola paka ki.
Bakunywesa a certain amount of that alcohol that is locally made. When you take it, you get paralyzed. Someone can even cut you from here without you without you feeling the pain. You understand?
Yeah.
Someone could cut you open after taking. So they knew a certain amount they would, of course, give you, and they would cut. If she's a mother, they would cut the person open, and they remove the baby. So the cesarean birth system. Africans used to have that. So, and after that, they would disinfect the wound with the same alcohol. They finish and they stitch it. And if you look at all the theater apparatuses, these are minor apparatuses. Forget the oxygen and stuff that comes along in the theater. So I have some heartbeat. They saw the first apparatuses that they used to cut open, and of course, but then bakutunge, what they call it, sewing. Africans had that. Robert Williams says looking good, little drop.
Thank
So
you.
that is how those people got to know that this kind of thing is possible. So you can apparently cut open someone and then remove a baby and fix them back. You can cut open someone, remove whatever it is that you want to remove and fix them back. So, but the world doesn't teach that this whole thing started from Africa.
And people from all this is hidden from African education system. Very few Africans you will tell them about that. They will not accept. They will tell you, operations are these are things that have been designed by Bazungus. Operations started from Bazungus. So they will even reach an extent of telling you that people were not operated before the Bazungu.
Yeah.
Some Africans, because they have never heard about this.
Yeah, but
So
that's
comment
legit.
here.
So, we were troubled bath encouraged through massage or herbal inducement.
Inducement.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. More especially like it's when someone is not going through.
mm,
That's 20 proof moonshine, Maria. Good God.
mm,
200
mm.
proof.
By the
Yeah, at times, more especially if a woman ngatagenda mu labor, sometimes they would even change the baby.
mm,
So Africans would do a lot. They
like
would change the baby. If you have a bleach, they turn the
mm,
baby's head to face in the
mm.
right direction.
Even when a woman gives birth, when the baby is premature,
Yeah, they had ways of
yeah,
doing.
you could have ever seen that one.
Mm.
You know, my Jeja used to okuzalisa
Your
abantu,
grandma.
my granny.
Mm.
So he used to help out those pregnant women to give birth.
Mm.
One time, I think, yeah, I think it was, but it wasn't the first time. But I realized on over the third time that it was the case.
Mm.
Like they used to come and they give birth premature kids,
Babies.
babies. Sorry.
Mm.
So what they used to do, they used to make that natural, that African incubation.
Mm. The incubate.
They incubate the
Mm.
kid until
Mm.
the kid is fine. They could get hot water, they put in gel cans. So
Mm.
they put this side, and the kid is there. So there is no way the kid
Would
can,
get cold.
yeah.
Me, I remember my
Mm,
brother, my our elder brother. He her
mm,
first child. They
mm,
were twins actually. The first children he had were twins. So he was very young. He was a young boy, and the wife was a little bit mature than him. She gave birth to these twins. Now I think they were premature.
mm,
There's one scenario I remember. So my mom was, they could not allow us to enter. I think they didn't want us like to infect the babies. Premature babies are, like they didn't want us to infect the baby. So we always stayed far out. Until one day I came, I didn't know the baby was in the bed. I jumped on the bed like I fell. I fell on the bed. I just had something big. Yeah, I said, what is this? But they had removed the baby from the room where they used to keep the baby, and they had brought the baby to this other room. So I didn't know the baby was in bed. And I fell on that baby. Luckily enough, nothing happened to that baby. But yeah, that's how crazy shit was. But they took care of this baby in our own, because my mom was like, we cannot keep the baby in the hospital at that time. So my mom took the baby home, and the babies actually were twins. So they took care of the babies until they matured, and in a traditional way, because I didn't see all these machines that were in the hospital, so they refused to put the babies on the machine. But the babies survived.
So
You know,
Geno says that my
your
granny
granny was
was
a
a
midwife.
midwife.
Yeah, was a
Yeah,
traditional
yeah.
midwife.
So Jeep Jeba says that a question: can African midwives predict the gender before birth?
Yeah.
They can even dictate.
Mukwa, calm down.
Yeah, it's weird.
This is your mother now dictating shit stuff. Because when they dictate,
They can dictate
ngaba
about
kugamba tuganye mulenzi.
no,
Kiki
that.
kyotegeeza ati sobuli wega dictator.
The dictation I mean is this, like they may dictate on which you may go to someone and you say that I want to give birth to boys. They make it for you. That's
Ngaba
the
nywedde ki?
dictation.
Ngaba nywedde ki?
Buuza. Chokama.
Abantu
Chokama the chili.
abantu
Chokama the
abantu
chili.
abantu
Chokama the chili.
temanyi bagambo bakifuula.
Yeah, they can change the sex of the kid. Chingambe.
Lwaki ogise dictation?
That's dictating
Nze
what
buli
is
wongera
inside.
agamanyi
No,
ngamuwa
dictation
bugere.
and
Lwaki ogamba
definition.
dictation what is inside?
Chingambe. No, what is but they
Yeah.
can predict the gender.
First of all, the little knowledge I know about the prediction is when they feel the heartbeat of a child, they can tell a boy and a girl. When they feel the heartbeat, two, the mother's appearance, and by the way, things have never failed. So apparently, a grown-up African woman would look at a pregnant woman and know she's carrying a boy or a child. When they study the pattern, the behavior pattern of this woman, they will even know the kind of sex this woman is carrying. Yeah. So apart from the heartbeat, I think boys and the kids, if a kid is a male, if the baby is a male or a female, I think they have different kind of heartbeats. Their hearts beat at a different rate, so they can tell that this child is a boy or a girl. Two, they will study the mother's behavior changes and patterns, so they will get to know the hormones that are influencing this, because there is what they say a male child always has different hormones, so which calls for a different reaction of a mother during pregnancy. This is at least the little I know when it comes to the African local midwives and how they do shit. So we are when we come to medicine, we also look at the spiritual and holistic approaches. And we know that African medicines often incorporate spiritual and holistic approaches to health and healing. While Western medicines tend to be more focused on scientific principles, and of recent, we have seen these people trying to adapt these spiritual and holistic approaches of medicine. Of course, with the increasing recognition of the importance of holistic health, including mental and spiritual well-being. Now, in Africa, throughout everything that Africans used to do, everything that Africans, yeah, thank you. Everything that Africans used to do was, of course, accompanied with the spirituality. It was because African medicine practitioners used to believe that it is important for the patient to be mentally well, for them to be able to, of course, carry on their medicinal, prescription, and that's why we see that whenever someone had, apart from minor ailments, whenever someone had like strong ailments, you'd see that these people would be separated from the public or the society. They would ask you to carry your patient if you're going to a herbalist or an African traditional healer. I'm looking at people who are using herbs. I haven't touched the voodoo part. I'm looking at the African herbs. They'll say, for whatever sickness that person has, you can bring that person. You come back after a certain time. These people will be responsible for feeding this person the particular kind of food that they feel is going to support this person's health. They will isolate this person, let nature handle this person. And if these people have what if the patient, could be experiencing like mental trauma problems, depression stuff, they let the person experience nature and their spirit calms down and connects, the vibration connects with nature. And at times we would say, like, I brought the patient, like, why are you not treating this person? I thought you're supposed to start immediate treatment. They will say, well, this is also treatment, because first of all, they want to handle someone when they are in harmony. Because with Africa's medicine follows spirituality, because they believe Mother Earth has provided. So the person has to connect with Mother Earth. The person has to be in the same vibration with the herbs that these people are going to, of course, administer to that particular person. So that is the difference. So there is no science to it. There is no science to it. Basically, it's about nature and humility, and that is Africa's medicine. And I'm seeing like a lot of people are trying to administer this. They'll tell you you have to go for meditation. So if you're going to stay in a quiet place, meditate, stay alone. They have started to adapt all these things. And
And some people they are phrasing like meditation to prayer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
So the other people, the other Bazungos, they are also funny. They are too funny. So they phrased whatever that was in Africa before into what into they actually summarized whatever
Mm,
kind of life Africans were going through
mm,
into small things,
mm,
into things that can divide Africans and divert them away
mm.
from that. Yeah, but
So,
mm,
Jibjaba says yes, you need to be receptive for a cure,
mm,
or
or
it
it won't
won't
work.
work. In Africa, more especially if you find people who believe in herbs,
Mm,
when you don't know a herb, when
mm,
you don't know a herb,
mm,
and you want to, do you know someone can pick someone? This is the things sound like magic.
mm,
And someone who doesn't know Africa's spirituality will say, like, now shit. But
mm,
shit can't happen. I'll go to a drug shop, I get my paracetamol water. I'm
mm,
gonna take that paracetamol.
mm,
African herbs do not work like that.
mm,
That's why you may find a herbalist, a non herbalist, having like 10 children, but not all these 10 children will give you the medicine. Even if you come, not everyone will go and pick these medicines. Because when it comes to Africa's medicine or herbs, it comes with a spirituality. You just don't go gafla and get, because and that's why some other people bakusaba chikumansiku. You understand?
mm,
And some others will say, when someone gave me this particular medicine, but it did not work for me, and
mm,
somebody else does, because people who usually deal in these medicines are people who connect a lot with the nature, because with the nature it gives back. It gives back what you give it, and that is just the essence of it. You'll get to know baba mukazi when she's period tajayo dagala obutegera. But people look at these minor things and they're like, yeah, that is just a small thing. I think you guys are just taking this, so serious. As much as it sounds cheap or funny, it carries a lot of meaning, and that is Africa's medicine with the spirituality. And that's why it is not everyone can do herbs, not everyone can give you herbs. It may not, someone may not have been able to go to school, they may not, have even stepped in school, but when there are local people who cannot even speak any other language apart from theirs, but when they are blessed in that, because in Africa, they believe that this hand is very blessed more than anything. And just like you can say omuntu ayinza okugamba ekintu nekikutuukirira, oba omuntu n'akwata sente n'azikuweesa omukono gwe and it becomes blessed. So that is nature, that is spirituality in Africa's heart. You go to a pharmacy, you go to staff, you think it's the paracetamol, you're just going to give in money and buy the paracetamol. With the African herbs, it comes with a lot that, but I feel like a lot of goodness. It is something that you can trust to the point into your mutunewaku eddala tofa. There is no overdose, there is no side effect, there is no, wrong medication. Like, I'm not taking the right herb, so I'm gonna die. No, you don't die. Yeah, so that is the goodness that comes along with the African herbs. Can you get a cold? They can get a Western that the diversity of medical practices in Africa has contributed to a broader understanding of health and healing practices. This diversity has enriched global perspectives on medicine, emphasizing the importance of considering cultural context in health care. Now, usually we get medicines um, different countries outside Africa. And for me, there is always something I always keep on asking myself. You cannot run a test on a Mzungu, okay? And this medicine is sampled on a Mzungu and it is effectively working for the Mzungu. And for you, you don't know the fact that we are two different people, and you carry this same thing, you bring it to Africa, and you expect to see 100% results, same results. This is why in Africa we are seeing a lot of African women going through, terrible situations when they take contraceptives. People will tell you contraceptives are good. We've been doing this for a long time. In Europe, everyone will be saying contraceptives are good. There is no African woman who has ever said contraceptives are good. I've not particularly had somebody. It you have you have started.
I think some
Not only how going no.
was so true.
I don't know, I don't school anyone. So, so you will find someone will say, all right, it is working, I'm not getting pregnant because it's a birth control stuff. The next thing you will realize, as even if I'm not getting pregnant, my stomach is growing so big. You find them growing, having big bellies. Other people will, their bodies will get deformed. Others will have their periods running. Others will have their periods run to like, ah, watch out, man. Others will have their periods running. So, and they will just administer these kind of things on African women without trying to run tests. Me, I believe before you administer a medicine, you have to run some tests on me to make sure that whatever you're going to give me is compatible. Me, there are some drugs I don't take, right, and other people take. There are some like beetroot. I usually say people say beetroot is a good fruit, it's good for juice and stuff. I do not take beetroot as much as whether it is organic, whether it is fresh, whether it has been preserved, what in whichever form, I do not take beetroot. And not because of anything. I think I'm allergic to beetroot. The moment I take it, it's like I begin to have like high blood pressure. It increases the blood. So I got to realize that I have too much blood. And when I take beetroot, because beetroot is one of the fruits that add on your blood, and the blood cells so fast and rapidly. So when I take it, given the fact that I have too much blood, I think it becomes very because I'll start sweating. I'll be like I'm having high blood pressure. My heart starts beating. My heart starts racing on just sipping a glass of beetroot. So if such kind of a thing can happen to me, then how about those other people who consume medicines that have not been tested on black people? And they will do that. They will go in their pharmaceuticals, do their own testing. They choose the samples of whoever they want. So they say, if this is favoring to a white tumor, this is definitely going to work with a black woman. We've seen a lot of people outside Africa taking is it fertilizing? Well, I don't know how they call that though.
Yeah.
Let me try to remember how they call that.
Fertilizing what?
Oh, how buyichoka kijja n'ombuzaabuza.
Like what is the use of what you want?
But pills basobola okufuna embuto.
Fertilizing pills.
Ekigambo si kyekyo nange bwe mbadde ndowooza naye tekiba kyekyo. Waliwo ekigambo ekirala. So I think that is the shortcut of the whatever.
Fertilizers.
Of course, I'm silly. So they take that for them to be able to conceive. They take a lot of medicine. Most of the people, by the way, outside Africa. And when it comes to family planning, you realize that the woman is on contraceptive and she gets pregnant. And it's like even the thing becomes worse that she might even get pregnant with 4 children. And now these are the medicines that apparently are supposed to prevent her from having a child. And an African woman does the next time she's pregnant with the 5 babies in her womb. So if you look at all these things, but when it comes to nature, nature responds. I don't know how herbal medicine works for the white people. I don't know if it actually works for them. I don't know how it works, but it is herbal medicines are the only perfect medicines that are made for black people. Because even we have herbal medicines that are contraceptives that help people not to get pregnant, and they are herbal, and someone will be taking them and they will not have babies. And if someone wants to change the sex of their child, they'll still take. So someone said, like, I've had like a lot of girls and you want to have baby boys and you take it. I don't know how that matters. What? But people do it and it happens and it works. You cannot do that, Mubazungu. It is not there. They haven't found that kakodio yet.
You give birth on probability that you get a boy or a girl. But Africans decides for what sex and kind of babies there are people even who look for twins and they get it. Eh.
Ojja tukuba nnyo totuyiwayo enyimba akadomo tunonya hano kati nga kuna mukyala wo.
So that's why we were there about health.
Mm.
So a lot is the comments are a lot and Africans for whatever you said, you can't find someone on streets, you can't find someone, you can't even explain it to someone who has had education, someone who has gone through school for years. African people, you explain to them such theories, you explain to them such issues and understand. Africans, there is a way they take Bazungus in a different way. They think Bazungus are superior, they think Bazungus are what. So Africa still makes a great contribution to the Western development. Like let's have a comment here from Deep Java. Yep, beets are high in nitric acid, which fortifies blood by increasing oxygen uptake. Still is a boy in Okusenyo, you have to
Yeah, when I
you have to
take
take in a
it,
lot of oxygen.
my when I take it, my heart races so.
I remember.
I will start sweating. You may think they have poured water on me, and I feel uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So a lot and very many Africans they will tell you health issue. Ogenda kufocus. Moyo mwere. Ogenda kufuuka mwoyo.
Saafuuka mwene nga mutono nga biri ebifaananyi by'olaba. Kati nkola ntya?
Nay, I guess you're not.
What is that?
Huh?
What is
Kati
that?
bagamba byogerere kulayo.
I'll tell you that. What? Shut up! Shut up!
So African contribution. Divya was talking about the beetroot. For me, my experience with the beetroot, I took it back. I didn't sweat, but my heart was it was so fat. But I didn't take juice. I ate it raw.
Maybe I used to blend it with the carrots and shell up.
I ate
One day I
it.
made wine out of it. I almost died.
Yeah, man, so it's a
I told you
wine.
that story. I almost died. I made wine out of beetroot. I almost died. And I think let me not talk about that thing. I don't want to remember.
Over the wine was not ready.
It was. It's just that I had not known the way I respond to beetroots. I just loved them. So it was terrible. I almost died. I almost died. I took with that cousin of yours, Nachi. She almost killed me. The way she ran her gap and that babe. If she was still around me, I think I would be a very disorganized human being.
But she's not.
Yeah, she's not, because for her she was used to that kind of lifestyle. And for me, she was, putting me in that. And when you don't know shit and you pretend that you know shit, you become
You
wild.
become shit.
Yeah, yeah. When I met that wine, I think it was. But anyway, everything happens for a reason. And I remember my little bro was even crying, saying, Maria, but my mind was, but my body wasn't doing shit. I was and my brothers bagamba mbona bakulese ng'obuuka mu ddirisa wentuleyo waggulu ku siringi nga bapaayiriza. I didn't have even strength. And the wine was taking it because it was so sweet. Oh, Sagatamu. I was the one who made that wine. So, Sagatamu. It is just, I think I was even too young to know things. It was even my first time taking something, I took like a big bottle of wine, like a whole. It was so sweet, and we had put it in the fridge. It was, I don't know if they are supposed to put wine in the fridge. I put it in the fridge. It was very cold. I was sipping it like water. The moment I put that that bottle down, it fell from my hands. It fell, and I also sat. I followed the photo. The bottle. I sat down. My legs were all like, yeah. They had to move me up to home. My mom wasn't home. Now my little bro was there. He said, "What is this?" And he was so traumatized.
You have to cook for me.
Yeah, I'll make for you. Yeah, I'm going to. Maybe we make tomorrow. Yeah, so that we can keep it, and it takes time. Yeah.
So, that is we are sorry for that, but we are discussing about Africa's contribution to Western development. Like I say that first, there is a way, there is a creation, there is a picture Western people have for Africa, and they have made very many African people, and they have made African people to think that way. The picture they want us to be, the picture they want us to be, the picture they have created for African people, African descent people, the way they want us to be. That is how African people have thought about Africans. That is how we have thought about we in Africa. So Africa is still contributing to the development of Western people, of all Western world, like it did starting from colonial period. For whatever things you have talked about, the health, the medicine, the herbs here, these people are learning all these things from we. Jabatuzayo. Yep, you are allergic. I have the same symptom for bee stings, bee stings, bee stings.
These things sting my little bro now. So what?
Bee stings and
Anaphylaxis.
yeah,
Anaphylaxis.
yeah,
Is
is
the
the
turn.
time. Yeah.
Wow.
But for me, I don't get any shit on stings.
Yeah, you are not
Neither a caterpillar. I used to sleep with caterpillar.
Yes, stop.
Let me tell you.
This one's that ban.
Those big ones.
How did you sleep with them now?
I was in the village. Then I slept. When I slept, I felt like I knew it was a caterpillar. Like it was moving along my hand. I brought the torch and I wasn't seeing anything. I covered myself with a blanket. I wasn't seeing. I had it moving in the back. To open, I wasn't seeing. I said, "Let me leave you." At last I left it.
Wazuka ngo
It burnt.
uchize.
Eh? No, like it rolled around my back,
When you
my
are sleeping, tell
yeah,
Wazuka.
yeah. Finally, it went. It left me alone. It gave up.
Me, see?
But I don't have any shit with these things.
Ah,
Neither bee stings or these. There is it a beetle?
mm-hmm.
I have no shit with those things.
Those things.
Yeah.
Jib apparently is
Is that
allergic.
being
Oh dear, so stay away from honey. Oh.
honey?
Mm.
And
That if you are in Africa and you take honey, the bees will come from nowhere.
mm, they
Man.
keep on they run after you.
Mm. Sorry about that. I don't know about
Mm,
the bee. I think I've ever been stung by a bee one. When
mm,
I loved to pluck flowers as I was a child. So I went to, I think they were collecting nectar, but I didn't have any problem. I'm allergic to weird things. Just, I
mm.
don't like seeing
That,
things with very tiny holes, like with their clothes.
mm. For me,
To get,
when I was still
like,
young,
even,
I was so funny. Which man and which is so that is so sorry, Jeep Jabba, for that. Sorry. So, I was saying that the contribution of Africa to the Western development is great. Starting from colonial period, I talked about the slave trade. I talked about the industrial revolution, how these people transferred from slave trade to industrial revolution to raw materials,
mm,
of which uh, the same thing they are still doing now. Do you know
mm,
that after introduction of the industrial revolution in Europe, like Europe had various industries they wanted raw materials, and of course Europe has little, even no raw materials. They had to bring them from Africa. So they again introduced colonialism in Africa. Together,
mm,
they conquered very many African states, and this kept Africans in a system of being colonized under the British, under the German, under the French, under the Italian. So this was a deliberate act of ignoring industrial development in colonies to sustain the dependence on colonial manufactured goods.
mm,
Okitegeera?
mm.
That's why even up to now, you find out that
Muzugu.
yeah, that's why you find out that even up to now, yes, was rather than using our products because it is a colonial legacy. The other people took they came, picked our raw materials, took them, manufactured, brought
Come
the
on, everybody.
brought the
YouTube.
brought.
That's what they do. That caterpillar, he said so. You eating bugs, and then you sleeping with bugs. It's, I heard you tell Maria you was sleeping with a caterpillar. Now you lucky that caterpillar didn't bite your ball sack. You would have been in problem. You would have been in trouble.
Just say, I don't know what I
Of course.
did.
That'll you sleep with caterpillars, all kind of crazy shit. But anyway, so it's not really Western civilization. It's African civilization that they taking claim for. All Western civilization started in Africa.
Mm,
So I mean, there's no such thing as Western civilization. They try to tell everybody because this civilization started in Africa. No, the first to be civilized means the, the acquiring of knowledge and learn how to do things. All your first colonies were in Africa.
mm,
Like I had Joby look up when Maria was talking about doctors and medicine that all came from Africa. All your even your modern surgeries come out of Africa. And African people, whether they be in America or somewhere else outside the continent in the diaspora. But your first doctor was an African. You know, white people try to tell you about white people try to tell you about goddamn Hippocratic, the Hippocratic oath for doctors. I showed Joby last week. I said that's a lie. So you understand these people are psychopaths. So I had Joby. I said, look up Joby. Look this up. So I had Joby look up, say, the Hippocratic, because they call Hippocratic the father of medicine, right? I said, Joby, go to Google and look this up. Say, how many years did Hippocratic study in Africa? And then it goes on to say, Hippocratic studied 7 years, I think it was 7 to 9 years in Africa, learned how to be a doctor. So how the hell could he be the father of medicine and doctors when he learned in Africa? That's what they do. Hippocratic. So even the first doctors are African. First medicine, the first teaching of medicine is African, not European. So it's a misnomer to call anything Western civilization because it all comes out of Africa. Your first universities are all in Africa, all of them. It's just the fact that Africa went through a dark ages, a dark period, now you're waking up. That's why when Seto say, you tell Africans that they don't believe none of that. Yeah, because you've been 200 years dominated by white people who lied to you. You live a 200 years of lies. But people told you wasn't shit. They found you, you wasn't shit. You ain't never done shit. You ain't never gonna be shit. That's the narrative for African people. Sadly, most Africans have taken to that notion instead of trying to research is it true to figure out where they were lying. I mean, the African American did. Be like, hey, this can't be lying. They go, oh, we were slaves, and you were sorry, and you come, and you're lucky to be a slave. If you looked over to Africa, you'd be starving with the rest of those Africans. They told us we were lucky to be slaves. You lucky that we didn't leave you motherfuckers in Africa to be with the other African savages. That's what they told us. You're like, what? That's right. You was lucky to be captured and taken into slavery, whether you end up in Jamaica, America, Haiti, Brazil, South America. You're lucky. So the African Americans say, oh, man, we gotta go back and find our real history. These people just be lying about everything. So you got to have the yearning for knowledge to know who you are. You can't. How can you believe you're a conqueror? The one who came and enslaved you and colonized you is going to teach you the truth. He's not going to teach you who you are. He's going to lie to you, obfuscate everything. You know, that's how all your medicinal purposes have mostly been lost. The best medicines always came from Africa because it was natural herbal. As Maria said, you didn't have any side effects because medicine is not supposed to give you side effects. It's supposed to heal you. If it's giving you, and the first thing they call a side effect, it's not a side effect. It's the effect that you take in the shit. And you read some of these commercials where they talk about the side effect because it's called blindness, a bloody asshole, you can lose a limb. You're like, what? What?
Yeah.
So there's some commercials about your asshole's bleeding, you could go blind. What kind of medication is this? Those are not the side effects, those are effects because it's unnatural, synthetic. And woman, Maria, we're not see this stuff that you're supposed to learn. If you went back and got your knowledge. As melanated people, we're close to nature. We're not supposed to deal with synthetic medicine. We're not supposed to put synthetics in our bodies because it destroys our melanin, which is your guide genetics. And it calcifies your pineal gland. Most Africans don't know what their pineal gland is, so you too caught up in your go back and Maria's like it's about spirituality. You go back to your goopy Jesus and your goopy Allah, not knowing truth again, These synthetic medicines messes up your pineal gland. It calcifies that. So when you understand that the meaning of your pineal gland, because it's in your goofy Bible, the Africans made that shit up for the Europeans, but they put some real truth in it. And part of the Bible says, I seen God, and his name is pineal. They were talking about your pineal gland that sits in the middle of your brain. You as an African melanated person, you're interdimensional. You don't know that no more, that you can see into other dimensions if your vibration is high enough. But you can't do that if you've been eating a bad diet, taking synthetic medicine, because it calcifies your pineal gland. See, most Europeans already have a calcified pineal. This shit don't even work. So that's when I say, do Europeans even have a soul? Because your soul sits inside your pineal gland. Chateau. Your pineal gland, see, you, okay, I gotta take it back to the beginning. It may have to understand this. You as an African, Chateau, you are interdimensional, and there's no beginning, there is no end for you. Your body is an illusion. You have a soul that sits inside your body. That's eternal. So when the body dies, there's no such thing as death. All right, that's what I proved. The Africans knew that 1,000 years ago. The white man scientists finally figured that out. But now you got the Africans scared to die because they got the fake religion with Jesus. Am I going to die and go to hell? I'm going to die. Will I die and go to heaven? All that dumb shit. All that ignorant nonsense. You have a soul that sits in your pineal gland. The pineal gland is the seat of your soul. The ball of light. So you as an individual, you're sitting in your brain inside your pineal gland. Said that your body is just an illusion. So when you're eating the right things and drinking clear water, your pineal gland is functional and getting what's supposed to need because you're interdimensional. This will allow Africa, as we're talking about the healing, this will allow Africans to go to sleep, right, and get dreams from the astral plane. These are different planes of reality. And they would get planes from either from the ancestors or just other entities that's outside the third dimension. So they would talk to you through their dreams, say, hey, Seto, hey, knock your head while you dream, hey, Seto, that tree over there outside the village, go get that tree and that cures this disease. That cures this disease. This cures this disease. That's how the Africans knew what herbs to use. Some herbs can be poisonous, some herbs can be beneficial. Also, you being in tune with nature, everything has a magnetic field, Seto. These things your ancestors used to know that you don't even know no more. You're too scared. Is that witchcraft? Yeah, dummy, it's witchcraft, you moron. So you don't even know no more. That whenever you go a garden around you, Seto, any kind of garden, you have a kinetic relationship with nature. So nature feels you. Let's say you see everything is living. The plants are living. They're living entities. And you can actually talk to plants. Africans always talk to plants. Stuff that the white man told you is demonic and a witchcraft, all this other dumb shit. So what the plants would do when you were outside, like planting a garden or whatever, the plants would start checking you have a biosphere, right? A magnetic field. You can Google this. The magnetic field around the body. The plants that you started to grow will start talking to your subconscious. And the plants would see if you were sick in any way, right? The plants would figure out around you where you sick, just in you interacting with them. So they would start growing the plant you needed to heal whatever ails you. It's called a symbiotic relationship. So the plant that you need will start growing in your garden to heal whatever. Let's say you had a bad kidney, bad liver, bad lung. The plants in your garden will start growing that shit to heal you because it was a symbiotic relationship between you and the plant. You are Mother Nature. See, what you don't understand, what the white man ain't taught you, all you are, Central, is a living plant. You're a plant. As African, we're plants. How can that be, Keith? Because you're melanated. Plants have melanin. It's called chlorophyll, a different form of melanin. Because what we are is just a biological plant. That's why we're supposed to sun gaze. You're supposed to take off your shoes, get outside, and look into the sun. Also, sun gazing heals you. Don't believe it? You got Google right there. Look it up. These are all ancient African practices that you don't know no more because you're too moronic. You're in a building talking about Jesus and Allah and all that nutty nigga shit. Instead of knowing what your ancestors were telling you, you take off your shoes and let your feet
Touch the
be
ground.
on the earth. Exactly. Because that grounds you, and also the earth has healing pump that goes to the soles of your feet. These all shit African news. These are all real that they've already studied in their college at Harvard. I think I'm telling you, they know it's real. That they told you was a demon. This is wrong, and now you've lost this knowledge. The healing up. I just told you. Why do you think Africans live to be at least 160 years? The average age in Africa, 160 years to 200 years. African don't even make it on to be 65. He died. I got heart problems. Just the average age was 160 to 200 years in Africa. We use eating an alkaline diet and understand real medicinal healing. You can always go, and if you think I'm wrong, look it up. That's the average age. So it means you devolved as a human being. How's your average age before you met the European? 160 to 200 years. Now you look if you make it to 100 now. Put it up for me, Maria. Then what's the average livable wage in Uganda?
The what?
What is the average?
The average.
What is the average livable wage, livable age in Uganda? I wonder how long y'all live now. What's the average livable age in Uganda?
Average livable age. I'm not gonna lifespan. In Uganda.
I want to see the average, how long you live now in Uganda. You damn sure ain't no 165 no more, I know that.
$64.
64. But now, you live 100 years less than what you used to live before you met the Mzungu.
Mm.
100 years. That's the average age of death in Uganda. 64.
Alisema mwaba mwafadda.
So somewhere, you lost 100 years. So you lost 100 years of living. And you talking about that Mzungu is your God, and he's better than you. You're out of your rabbit mind again. Your average lifespan is 64, when it used to be 160.
Yeah, it's going to get there for 60.
When you was doing your herbal medicine and doing your right thing.
True.
That might be less than Kenya. What's the livable age in Kenya, Maria?
Sorry?
What's the livable age in Kenya? That should probably 61 or something. Much alcohol they drink in Kenya. What's the livable age in Kenya? It's probably like 61. Everybody over there be drunk all the goddamn time.
Mm. Mm-hmm. 67.
Okay, 3 years more than Uganda. Okay, that's surprising to me.
Mm.
Their habits are so much worse. They got they're big drinkers over there.
Kandi bamuseveni kati yeyongera kubasiru. Okimanyi?
Do me a favor, Murray. Do
Mm.
find out what the livable ages in Ghana and Nigeria for me.
Tuwandika. Nakyo.
What's the livable age in Ghana and then Nigeria for me?
Tulakolebwa ejingana. Tuddeko kyandi.
What is it?
Ghana. G. Ghana.
They say what's the livable age in Ghana?
64.
Just like in Uganda.
60 what?
64.
Okay, just like Uganda. Okay, 64. Damn, that's not too good either. Shit. Africans don't
Yeah.
live long no more. So what's the livable age in Nigeria?
Mm.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
Africa.
53.
What's this? What's this, Maria?
53.
53. That's how fucked up now. 53. Oh my God. 53 is the lifespan. 53. That's the average because the country's so bad and so fucked up. That's right. The poverty is so terrible. 53 is the average. I knew somebody was 50. And before them, mm-mm-mm-mm. Damn, 53. Damn. Hey, you want them out of Nigeria? If you leave in Nigeria, they can get the hell out of there. Yeah. I'm gone. I'm gone, mama. Where you going, baby? I'm going to Uganda. At least I can live 10 more years if I go to Uganda. Shit. I can at least make it to 64. I'm gone, mama. I'm leaving you. I'm leaving Nigeria. Shit.
Let's look at South Africa.
And what's up? South Africa's
Let's
gonna
look
be
at
high
South
because
Africa.
South Africa's gonna be high because it's a modern country. So go ahead. South Africa's probably gonna be high 60s, early 70s. Let's see what here.
San Diego Richard. South Africa. Mm. Lwaki bateekako living wages?
What's South Africa? What is it?
Wait, back wages. Oli ku salary.
Not at the moment.
What's South Africa?
You wait, let's see. Namukwana. Bateekako lifespan. $65.
Wow. Even with the white man, it's not even that good because most black people live in poverty in South Africa. That's right.
You're South African?
Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
That's not even good. 65. So they want them how great their infrastructure is. You don't even live longer than Ugandans, nigga. What you talking about? So you just as poor as every other African. So please stop with your fake flexes. Wow. Damn, Kenya's so far Kenya's number one at 67. Shit. Oh, and that ain't even good. Shit. God damn. 67 from 160. Let's see, Oh, I know. Now I ain't gonna put the I know the Congo's no shit.
Well,
Let's let's do let's do Rwanda. What's the government? What what's the little age of Rwanda? Seto?
run
What of of Rwanda?
66.
66. Okay. Ain't no worse, no better. That's crazy. Now
Uganda, going to get
you got the best genetics.
covered with
You got the
85%.
best. You got the best genetics while you die. Now, if I put up a
Yeah.
European country, Europeans that don't have good genetics now outlive you.
632.
Remember when the Europeans first came to Africa, their average age was 35. The
Mm.
Europeans was already old at 35. Now, since they got your resources, let's see. Let me pick a random white country. Let's see. What is up, Seto? So what is the livable age of Sweden?
What is the global age of Sweden?
Sweden is spelled Sweden. I'm gonna put a European country. I'm gonna see what their average, what their livable age is.
82.
All right, so that's their average age of the. All the Europeans are behind you because they've been stealing your resources, living off of you. Now you went from 160 down to 60 something. They went from 35 to now 82. Average lifespan of the European before he got Africa was 35. He was dead and stinking by 35. Now most their age is 82. They live 20 more years more than you. And they got the weaker genetics. You got the stronger genetics. I mean, that you've been put in poverty, that's why.
Hmm.
That's, that's why you died. Then when you get old enough to figure things out, when you finally get old enough in Africa to figure things out, you almost dead. Shit, you can't help nobody because you almost dead in the grave. Oh man, I figure we getting exploded, things are messed up. Yep. And you'll be dead in another 5 years after you figured it out. Like Maria said, those synthetic drugs are for them, not for you. That's why you die early. You can't take their drugs. You as a natural person, in Africa, you gotta take natural drugs. Herbs. It's all about your melanin. You got black people don't even know what melanin's about. They in their skin bleaching, destroying their melanin, skin bleaching, doing all kind of stupid shit. I want you to share a video. I want you to share a video, Maria.
Okay.
Go to YouTube. I want you to type in. Listen, go to YouTube. I know it killed Dr. Africa. He was an herbalist. Teaching black people you can't touch synthetics. Explaining what the melanin is. So when you get to YouTube, Maria, You're gonna type in Doctor
All right.
Africa. Doctor Africa.
Sorry?
Type that. Say Doctor Africa. You're gonna type in Doctor Africa.
Dr.
You hear me?
Africa.
Yeah, Doctor
Mm-hmm.
Africa talks about melanin.
Mm-hmm.
Say Doctor Africa talks about
Talk about,
melanin.
okay, Dr. Africa talked about melanin.
So melanin. MELANIN.
Yeah, we could
Melanin.
enter.
The Central needs to know what his melanin is about. The truth about why he's black. What is melanin? What does it do?
Dr.
Yeah. Yes, Maria. That's Dr.
It's called
Layla
Lila.
Africa. Yeah, Dr. Layla Africa. That's it, Maria. Dr. Layla Africa.
So continue to let it out.
And a lot of them,
Huh?
Okay.
Mhm.
see, when you melanate, your body heals itself. Something I'm going to teach you.
Kejunya. Anti yasoka nakyo salinde out. Tasobola kusharinga asikyamuli.
Are you guys going to play it or what? What you doing?
Olabika omuggyeemu anti okozeemu.
Huh?
Okoze one.
Participant one.
Kyengamba wali eri bamuggyeeko ffe ffekka abaliwo.
Oh. Kyali muleese ad.
Anti gwamulaba.
You guys going to play it? What you doing? You there?
Ibadde mu kifo kingi.
Andu. Nigga andu tubeeru.
Ndiwonyirwa
Andu yo kutuuka ekigambo andu. Control. Controls. Controls ebitubeeru.
Are you guys there? Are you drunk? What you guys doing?
Kanaso.
You can't write a code. Tegiwonya nno. Singa abadde ateekera yalinoonyeza lyalala. Ate nange ate sejjeeko nno.
Camera slot. We got one. Kirekeo bajja kirabira waawo. Kirekeo waawo sharing.
You ain't got to share it. Just let it play. Yeah.
Tegiwonya nno.
Kuba baba bakolamu ki wali oba ekisinga ekyalaba nabu wenkiraba mmanyi kyekibikola.
What you guys doing?
Oh, nyonyonga jina.
Nyiga wanaenda ku space just
Oh, one.
kola undo.
I think I'll sing my salmon out.
Pensare grandi jambuggi.
Tebakyatulaba tukulinze.
And cancel the bill.
Ndaba okumagunja tolivenga sente.
Eh?
Tolivenga sente.
Tinkolente. Kozesa wali kulundirio. Nyonyonga jina. Also for usually. Streaming.com. 5 minutes sleep.
Okuddayo sisitemu yagenda. Naye tukyali. Tugenda kuyingiramu emirundi ebimu.
Eh?
Tugenda kuyingiramu. Eri ended.
Eri.
Iyo. Eno olingidde assassination of African leader. Eri bakyatulaba. Ddayo wali tukyaliwo. Watta. Okiggyeko.
Tiano.
Ekintu. Sokodde wali ku screen ya.
Chichaliyo. Yes. Chichaliyo.
Leave studio tukomere. Wamene. Anti wamugyeko. Sorry, we could not share the video that Keith wanted us to share. Tetulabye ba microphone testing eri kiriya.
I know it is.
So we were trying, but whenever we tuyingira, some the things change. Sometimes the format is changed. So shit, we can't share no shit.
What I wanted to do was this. I wanted to do picture in picture layout, news layout. I wanted to use this format when they're displaying this actually, this one. Then where is the other? Keith was talking about what?
Doctor.
Dr. Africa.
Dr. Bichani.
Oh, like
Kantama. I hate it.
Dr. Africa.
Talks about melanin.
Talks about melanin. Then after that,
Wegana.
eh,
Wegana. Bano
video
manyi
file.
egenda kushare screen.
Ekiwenye nagokuli. I have to tell you things in future so that I'm already in the studio. We are sorry for that inconvenience. We are sorry, but go abanyiki wabadde kyabadde ayogera.
Now, Keith was talking about Dr.
Yeah,
Africa,
fine.
Laila. Unfortunately, we could not share the video because um, sometimes that layout, whatever is usually done in that studio, I don't know. But sometimes
Kati
we wake up
ogamba
and
nze
we
nakumute.
cannot share. Go amanyi oba muting.
Kyalina tukole.
Boy, kati kyogera tosobola kwogerako. Lwaki ombonyaabonya bwotyo?
Wazze kukola wazze kweba. Wazze kukola.
Nnalukola nga neddirayo waffe.
Keith was talking about.
We didn't see what he was talking about because we could not listen to the video. Kaba kyaliko baba tebalina byakukola.
I know this is General Mosquito. Yeah, it
General
is.
Mosquito cannot be there now.
It is.
Osaga.
That is General.
Ash,
It's everywhere.
I bet.
Mm-hmm.
General Mosquito is always ali kati mu katenda. Mpozi ng'egikujapa.
Yet like is never on Facebook.
Who is on? There is someone on Facebook.
Yeah.
That one is General Mosquito. Sorry, we could not share that video that Keith wanted us to share because StreamYard does not give that provision in my account. At times it does. I guess we log in a lot of. We have very many people who log in those accounts, so sometimes you find like someone has changed the layout and stuff. So at times we are not able to share. So yeah. Back to our topic, of course, Africa's contribution to the Western world. We go straight up to different kingdoms, the Ghana, Mali, Egypt, um, the the Songhais, Zara. So,
The conclusions.
Okolachi, I don't see. The empires of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai were powerful medieval states in, of course, West Africa. Each empire was advanced in matters regarding to the administration of government and economic prosperity during each era of their respective histories. They were powerful nations which had vital trading links with the commercial world of North Africa, and Europe. Ghana was the first of the three empires to rise as regional power in West Africa. The history of Ghana is based largely on the writing of Arab travelers who visited and, of course, traded with its people. Before the Roman Empire left North Africa in the 4th century, that's after the death. Eddie. Keith said that we should stop saying Igbo after that death.
Mm.
Ghana was already a powerful nation. And of course, various countries in Europe were dependent on were dependent on Ghana's imports of gold before the discovery of America. That means Ghana existed even before the discovery of America. Now, when we are talking about Africa, people will start quick. They'll tell you it started with the slavery and stuff like that. But even before America was discovered, Ghana was importing gold to Europe, and Europe was depending on Ghana's import of gold before the discovery of America. Now, the civilization of Ghana was advanced to such a level that a system of taxation was imposed on every lot of goods entering or leaving the empire. Trading, therefore, was a highly organized system which the wealth and importance of Ghana was best. And of course, at that time, you see, these people come and they in Africa, they start teaching us how they introduce tax and how we should run tax, how we should run business. But we are seeing a country, we are seeing a Ghana Empire at that time. It was doing all the things. Actually, it involved a lot with the gold, exportation. So Ghana was always exporting gold, and it usually used to do a lot of businesses with the outside world. And so apparently the people that we studied in school that they discovered Africa and blah blah. Africa was in existence even before those people discovered Africa. We see a lot of we see like Mensur Musa traveling outside Africa in different, of course, geographical areas, and with gold, and he's said to be among the richest men to travel outside Africa in different places. So you can realize that Africa existed even before the so-called explorers. Africa explored the world even before the so-called explorers. So, according to El Fazari, an Arab writer of the period, he said that the people of Ghana were also successful in overpowering their advanced methods of warfare and their weapons, which were swords and lances. At that time, Africans were good at swords, by the way, although others were good at bows and arrows and stuff. So people had their different weapons. Others were good at axes. Others were good at machetes. You get a coco songa mali.
So I think even I said this in the first hour, like um, no, I'm gonna tell you somebody.
Where?
Like I even said about this in the first hour that the slave trade they did in Africa, Jibjaba talked about the 60 million people that were traded. Yeah, don't go there, Uguzi. So Jibjeba talked about the 60 million people that were traded in Africa. Like I said, Maria, you have just said this. Um, in Africa, you had people that could do iron smelting, people that could do um, people that could make swords here in Africa and lenses. So these are the people that were taken from Africa to Europe by then. People that could have developed Africa by all means were taken to those people, were taken outside Africa. So, like I say that these people, like Ochitege, these people, they went to those countries to develop them politically, economically. But at first, the movement of slavery was based on trading, was based on profits. Watch Chenga. So we are seeing that Mali emerged when Ghana's powers declined in the 19th century. The Mandigo speaking people began to extend their kingdom and pushed towards the south and the southeast regions of the Western Africa. So Ghana's military forces were eventually defeated when there
Sundaikiat.
yeah when that ruler
Sundayata.
yeah when that ruler of Kita became a ruler of Mali, it became the most powerful of all kingdoms of the Sudan. The gold trades continue to flourish under the reign of or under that ruler that was in Mali, that strong leader, and his
Sandiata.
grandson Musa became a ruler during his reign. Mali became known throughout the Mediterranean world and in the empire Mali.
The
So
Europe.
and in the Europe. So
Mm.
these kingdoms were existing in Africa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we had empires, they would fall,
Mm,
they would decline.
mm,
All right, somebody's saying something. Metal forging was created by us.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yes, I told you Java is there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Zaire iko songo lito.
When I was
Siko ziri nsome. Mm-hmm. When you were what?
let me see also.
Ngambye nze nsome.
So man,
Sigambe mbu ngenda okusoma kati.
so when I was young, I grew up seeing in the villages people making backcloth. Have you ever seen?
Yeah, I've never
Mm.
seen people making, but I've ever seen backflow.
Yeah, for me, I grew up seeing that in the villages. In my village, people making backcloth, like there is a way they used to remove that how do they call that
The what?
that tree peel
Yeah,
to make
yeah,
backcloth.
yeah.
But
I knew
mm,
because in school we studied
mm,
theoretically. I've never been able to see,
mm,
but I knew they were getting it from the back of that tree.
mm. So
Mm-hmm.
so the same village which I grew in, I no longer see such things happening in my village. People no longer do backclothing. The village is still the same.
Mm,
Which again.
yeah,
So some years to come, I guess if at all we are not okay, if at all Africans we are not okay, you will see Africans saying that backcloth is not made in Africa.
yeah.
Which again,
Mm,
because they are the iron creation molding different iron products from it was made in Africa before it went that side. But very many Africans don't believe that it was made here. They think all these things are new in Africa, that they are made by the Bazungos, which is not true. Mhm,
mm-hmm.
mhm. Yeah, continue. Already, Jacob.
So, like I was saying,
You see, never
African.
be taking it.
Where we tap down?
I
Cat
didn't
toes.
just search.
Okay. Nothing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ah, say no, but we have to do it again.
So, mhm. Abagoberezi bajja kudduka naye nga topiki yabadde bakutta omumaliiro.
Nga tebanayaba ogere.
Kimanyi waliwo twatuse nga twogera nga tetubawa na time.
Mukamawo najja mu kifaananyi.
Taata aweddeko. Ng'era okuloodi. It is taking long to load. Why? Eh? What's going on?
It's loading, it has loaded.
Oh yeah. It has
Era tosobola kubanga oludda.
kiri kukola.
Anagenda okukulako eddirisa. Oza kifera.
The thing
You're
is not
sweater.
loading. The thing is not loading.
It's going to load.
It's taking long to load. So, we should not take this for granted that whatever we see in Western countries, it is its foundation, its origin, its genesis is from Africa.
Mm.
Let it be education, architecture,
Mm.
innovations, different science and technology innovations, social life. Those people, they have a whole forging life. They have a whole forging social life that copying it from Africa.
Mm.
To
And they will start
pretend.
telling us that we are poor. You know, even first of all, they say we are always naked. Abantu bayambalanga. We had rich people like Mansa Musa,
Mm.
of course.
I'll divert back to the other Muzungu, German Muzungu. That is that she said she's on TikTok. She's so famous now. She said that she thought Ugandans are monkeys. We stay in trees. She said, I had a different perspective about Africans. I thought you live in trees. I thought you don't associate. I thought, I know it was a German girl. She might even be a lady, a big lady, grown up.
Mm.
But I think it's not loading.
Of course, they usually categorize, I always say people always look at Africa and they're always usually judgmental. Like Africans are so extravagant and shit. Imagine these are people who are molded with the bronze and gold. Their skin connects with the minerals around. And by the way, if you look at most of the minerals that are found in Africa, they dignify their appearance of the African people. Now, at times, people who don't really understand the history of Africans, you look at somebody and be like, Africans are so extravagant. How can someone wear that big necklace? How come the person is full of gold
Big.
and stuff like that? But this is who they are because this matches them. This is if like throughout history, if an African person doesn't wear a gold on their body, and it's funny. Sorry, it's funny nowadays that people, Africans, don't even know how gold looked like.
Mm.
But before, every household had gold.
Mm.
We did not have all the machinery to do all that stuff. We may have not been as exposed as they think, but we were exposed in our minerals. We knew how to use our minerals. Our minerals were being used here in Africa. We consumed them and we harvested them, we mined them, we depended on them, and Africa was moving on. I remember the story of Mansa Musa when, of course, he was the ninth emperor of Mali Empire. He's one of the wealthiest and the most powerful West African, kingdoms during the medieval period. He's often regarded as one of the richest individuals in history. Mansa Musa ruled Mali from around 1312 to 1337. But he was wealth, and he usually used to move all over the world. He had pilgrimage. Musa was known for his pilgrimage or Haji, because to Mecca and other countries. He always moved with gold around him to the point that everyone was mesmerized, like, how come this guy has all this gold on his body? And he did a lot of things that people were like, how come an African man looks like this? How come this person is, but at times people are like, why are Africans categorized? You see, even in America, you see the white people who want to imitate being black, the first thing they do is to wear the gold necklaces, is to wear jewelries if they are men. The only way they want to imitate being a black, if somebody wants to imitate, if it's a Mzungu man and they want to, they usually call it hood, they want to, okay, probably they want to mingle or they want to be identified as black people, changing their, of course, wardrobe. They have to change their looks, and the first thing they do is wearing those gold stuff. Somebody's gonna wear a bling bling so that they have to show, I'm a black, I'm white, but I'm a black man. That's why I'm having this bling bling on my chest here. And people always be like, why do Africans wear that? It is nature. It is nature. Nature, naturally, there are people who are made with that wealth. There are people who are you cannot describe Africa, you cannot describe black people without describing the wealth they possess. No matter how poor materialistically somebody is, at times you find like you are pushed to have that, because this is in your blood for you to be that. So at times, I'm never judgmental of people who like wearing such kind of things. If you go to Congo, for Congo, you find even someone is running when the missiles are hitting, but they're having their necklaces swinging everywhere. They're taking cover, and you're like, bro, why didn't you remove that and just take cover slowly? I'm sorry. But because no matter the situation, this is us. You understand? So,
Oh, it's making such a sweet.
you mean you've not seen them ago? Have you seen it by here?
I've ever
It
seen
is
I've ever seen
natural.
a corpse. It was in Congo. They were actually, I saw that on news.
Mm.
Like someone had a lot of
The rings.
had a lot of rings,
Uh-huh.
gold.
I'm telling you,
Someone is already like that with a lot of rings.
these are minor, these are minor things that someone will look at and think it is just minor. All right, you look at somebody, you look at black people and be like, some people associate that with gang, they are gangs, they are bad. No, apart from that gang feeling that people think they are gang, they are drug dealers, where they having all those bling bling. No, apart from dealing with the real essence of that thing, it is just something that demands. Okay, when a black person can start from a center, papa, they get money. The moment someone gets money, even
Everyone
before
must
they
know.
wear, even before they wear the most expensive shoes. Before even you see people always say black men love shoes and stuff like that. Before they have most of the biggest percentage. Apparently, maybe not everyone does, but the biggest percentage. The first thing is that necklace, maybe a ring, because it is in their blood. Yeah, the ancestral is demanding that you want to wear that. You feel like you want to wear that bling bling, no matter how small it is. You have not even thought about the shoes. You haven't not thought about the Jordans and stuff.
Most of the Congolese sell those jewelries.
Jewelries, because
Gold
I mean,
jewelries.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
in
it is.
Uganda.
It
But
is. It is. Even when you go to Nigeria, it's the same thing.
mm,
You see, like everybody who's getting. Usually, I see like a lot of brothers and sisters from the America trip. They always have issues. They're always the
mhm,
West Africans are always tripping on each other with Americans. And like, you copy. You have to wear the bling bling shit. You're copy. No, they are not. If you follow history, they are not.
mm,
And I cannot blame a black American from wearing that because I know where they come, I know why they wear, I know what is demanding them to put on that.
mm,
And I cannot look at an African man wearing that and I'm like, why do you wear? I know what is pushing him to wear that. At times the things are more than what our imaginations.
mm,
At times the things are more than what our eyes can see.
mm,
And somebody will say, then I cannot describe why I love wearing this, why I love wearing the rings, why I love wearing,
mm,
necklaces. Granny called that wearing your money on your back. She never says. Yes. So the moment you see me, this is something I can't even. If people always say that black people, you find black people lining for shoes, new trading shoes. They forget one thing they usually line up for,
mm.
and those are the accessories, the necklaces, the
I know
rings, and the
Malaysia
stars. Because
African celebrities. You see, like now they tell you that someone has bought the most expensive ring. You
mm,
know, the
mm,
most. I was like, "Hey, what the guy is doing?"
how can you wear that ring for? Because you'll be thinking that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is what we
Mm.
were. We
I was
were
like,
both.
I was asking myself, someone has got money, someone has got whatever he wants now. Why does he run for that? I was,
Eyebera endowment,
mm,
obande yetimba. What's the name?
yeah,
And it's throughout history, people used to do this.
mm,
It is like when an African man, they would do, if African women were seated, like probably in their circles as African women,
mm,
they would do see a woman's, the way she has endowed her body
mm,
and know what the husband gives her. So you would find like a lot of African men made sure throughout history, and nowadays I don't see men doing that shit.
mm,
But in history, they knew that my wife had to wear gold so that people can know, because that even the woman herself was used as something to measure the first of all what the husband has, the wealth of the husband's family, how the husband loved her. So you would find like if there are many women, you make sure every woman wears. If it's gonna be a bracelet on their arm, it's gonna be gold one. If you're buying them two, three, and all the time women would be competing because the moment their husband was happy with one,
mm,
buys that, and everybody will be like, I have to make sure he gives me that too. So what did she do? I have to make sure I do better so that I can have that. So the next time you're sitting in a presence of different
mm,
people, as you're sitting and they say, these are Innosetu's wives, they will look at one woman when she has a lot of accessories, they will say, now this is the woman, like probably who, yeah, maybe Innosetu is connected to this one maybe he stabbed. They start judging the situation according to what that woman will be having at that time. And these other women will also know that probably they have not, and they will be ashamed to appear because we'll be like, the society is going to judge the facts. Why is she having much and I'm having less? Definitely. But that was how it was. So it is in the nature of the black people to love to wear accessories. And at times I don't judge them, like I said, because no matter what, they do it. But of course, guys, thank you so much for being with us throughout these 3 hours. And thank you so much, GB Jabba, General Mosquito, Robert Williams, and of course, Keith. We have not received our groceries. Nemana.
so
So
thank you so
we are looking
much.
forward to receiving our grocery. Groceries. But of course, thank you so much, guys. We are looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good and blessed day for
Day.
you. It is a good night from Kampala, Uganda, and have a blessed day. I know you guys are at work, others are just waking up, so I cannot say good night. But of course, good Good morning from me and Innosetu. See you tomorrow.
Same
Thank
day.
you for coming.
Same day.
Same time. Different day.